Fantastic. It feels like forever since we scheduled this.
I
Like
know
going
it's
back and
crazy. It's flying. The year's just gone crazy. So mental.
I agree. And it doesn't seem like it's stopping or slowing down. And this past weekend was just a sign of that because I remember waking up on Christmas, but I don't remember going back to work today.
Oh, it's so mental. And I think me and you are probably, well, I'm not working from the office because it's obviously like it's almost freaking New Year's Eve. We're a day ahead of you guys actually.
Oh,
So,
no way.
which is
Okay.
crazy because we're down under. How does that even make sense?
So do you think about it when you're traveling back and forth all over the country, you're time traveling?
Yeah, well, literally we are. We're in the future, but the future's looking bright.
Oh, I agree. It's just getting started here. I can't believe all the things that has come and passed this past year of just starting all of this. And next year, I have more things and even crazier stuff I want to get done. And I'm sure
Oh
you're
wow,
feeling the
I'm
same thing.
I'm excited for you, and you need to let me know how I can support you for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I do thank you for introducing me and right.
Paul,
Paul, yes, I'm sorry. I reached out to him because the time was just going by fast, and I looked at the emails. I'm like, oh my goodness, I haven't
I
gone back to him
know.
about a date.
It's so crazy. He's actually like the best human on earth. Like he's so genuine. He's brilliant.
Oh wow.
He's a true empathetic leader. Like he's built a brilliant company and he's just such a good human.
And for what he accomplished with his company, I don't think there's anybody in that field that has done that in the
No,
generations they've been in business.
no. And like I think it's actually the way that he gives back. He actually cares about people. It's kind of like his
Okay.
karma.
Okay.
He's a good person. He wrote a book on empathy. I think I sent it to you. It's called Succeed the Right Way. But it's
Yes.
all about how compassion and empathy tie in with like leadership and thought leadership.
Okay. I seen the book. It's on my list of things to read. It's actually
Yeah.
near the top. But yes, I have seen that, and even our interactions together for the brief emails, and it's just he actually took I couldn't believe he took the time to actually after our introduction to actually go and look me up and see what the things that I have done in just that a short
Yes.
amount of time.
He's literally like a Navy SEAL. He's the best. You're gonna enjoy his company.
Oh, I can't wait. Because I've been actually waiting this month. I don't know if you had time to actually see what the other parts of the show were. I couldn't have put this month together any better than the shows that I have lined up that came this month because
Oh wow.
we can't
Amazing.
exactly the first show was basically um positive moms, getting moms involved and getting them onto the financial way of owning businesses and whatnot. And second was actually personal branding. So
Oh, how
starting
crazy.
out starting out what a personal brand was, how to live a personal brand, and last week was running the business like a family oriented business for over generations. And now finally this year, this is the last live show of the year of taking that brand that you've figured out what you want to do and shooting it up to the stars. Honestly,
I'm honored. That's awesome. And it's sometimes the universe will bring you people who you're meant to meet at the right time.
absolutely. And
Law of
I
attraction.
I appreciate your time because I know you're a very busy person, and I've been
No,
catching
of
up
course.
on your podcast as well. Because
Oh, thank you so much. And I went silent there for like 3 months. I've got to get back onto it because I've just been so busy. But yeah, actually, you've got to make time for it. You have to. It's like networking too, you know?
oh, absolutely. That's one thing about this is I'm locked into this because this is live radio. So
Mm,
it is
amazing.
every Tuesday. It's like I have this done. I have uh the work I have set. I have like set hours set aside every week to work on this, to get guests, to
So
interview guests, and
good.
all that. So
So good. Well, I'm honored and thank you for having me on.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Did you by chance get the latest book? I sent it over.
No, I haven't actually, to be honest, I
Okay,
did get it. I have not read it, but I will definitely post it. I'm happy to post it on my LinkedIn and whatever.
okay.
I'll definitely give you a huge shout out.
Oh, awesome. Well, no, I wanted to make sure I got all the right people out because I didn't publish it yet. That was I got that finished Christmas Eve, and I sent it out
Oh, wow.
to everybody that's been
Okay.
part of the show and that's been part
Oh,
of this journey.
amazing. Good for you.
Um,
You've been busy. Very, very busy.
thank you.
Awesome.
And this coming year is going to be even crazier because I'm branching out even more into more of the publishing. I have the next book already in the final parts, and I'm working on the follow-up book, which is going to be investing in life insurance policies and whatnot. So I have a lot already ready to go, and I have the roadmap kind of where it's going, but we're gonna have to wait to see what the universe and life says about
Yeah,
it.
definitely. Well, I have no doubt you'll be very successful in whatever you do. So, however I can support you, just let me know.
Oh, absolutely. And same like you, like your stuff as well. I'd be glad to promote you. And I'm sure you've seen so many posts coming through about the show and the oh, what was it? What did I do? The press release. The press release
Yeah,
I've done
that
for
was
that.
great. And I saw on Twitter too. So what I'll do is I'll retweet it just so that I don't have a lot of Twitter followers. I'm gonna be building that this year. So this coming year. Talking like it's already over. It's crazy.
It feels it, even though it's another 4 days. That 4 days is gonna fly by again.
I know, I agree. It's so crazy. Oh my gosh, so
Oh,
nuts.
well, and you're a day ahead, so you got 3 days left.
That's right.
So
Literally, I can't believe it. It's so insane. So crazy.
and when you look back, it's like, oh wait, it felt like when I was ready to go on vacation, it's like it took forever to get to that point. But since after vacation, it's just a bum rush. Everything's just coming through. It's the gates are opening.
It's so true. Especially when you work for yourself. It's like the longest week ever of your life.
Oh,
The
I agree.
whole year just feels like a week.
But I will agree. It was nice to unplug for a while, actually go diving and seeing the ocean life and whatnot. It was fun. I enjoyed
Oh,
it.
great. Amazing. Where did you
So
do that?
I was in Jamaica for a week.
Oh, beautiful. I've never been.
Oh, you never
Bucket
been there?
list. I've never been. Definitely a bucket list thing to do.
It's it's a different world because it's sort of Americanized if you go outside a little bit with all the fast food
Mm,
restaurants. But once you get into the resort and the mindset of being there, it's like time stop stand stills. And they don't care about
wow.
time. And
They
it's
live their
more
life.
yes. They're very empathetic, very courteous, very professional. And it makes it makes for a great experience, honestly, when you
I
get
just,
there.
I love the accent. I think the accent's so great. It puts
Oh,
a smile on your face.
and when they start talking in their Creole, their language and whatnot, it's amazing. It's like I was starting to pick up on it. I'm like, and then they're looking at me. It's like, how long have you been speaking this? I'm like, maybe 2 days and like a 6 pack of rum.
I love it. So funny. Yeah, I've never been there. It's a list of my things to do.
Okay. Well, one reason I went down for friends. Friends did their vow renewal there. So
Oh, beautiful. That would have been amazing.
it was on the beach. It came out well, and Music Fest was there. So I was kind of hoping to do that, but that was a 2 hour drive. So I
Not
wasn't
next time. Next
next
year,
time.
same time, same place.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to it. So what have you been what are there any key points that you want to focus on during the show?
I'm ready for you to ask me anything. Basically, I'm good off book, so ask me
Okay.
whatever you want. My new book is coming out, which is called The Bankable Brand: How to Build a Brand Empire for the Experience Age.
Ooh.
So that should be good. What else have I been doing? Just the norm, just working. And this is the first time I've taken a break for ages, but I'm open. Whatever you want to ask, go ahead.
Okay. All
I'll do
right.
my best. I'll give it my best shot as always.
Yeah, good because I feel if you listen to any other ones, I have like a sort of like an outline of things to ask, but I rather a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always the best way to go. So whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about that.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Excellent. How was your Christmas?
Christmas was good. It was really good. Like just caught up with friends and we did a nice lunch and that was about it. We have summer here though, so it's a summer Christmas.
I would be okay with that without the snow because I'm in the Northeast. I'm in the Pennsylvania Northeast US, and
Okay.
it's been like subarctic level here, like single
Ooh,
digits overnight. It's been in
ooh.
negative. So that
I
sounds
would probably
wonderful.
cry. Yes, I've been in New York for Christmas one time. That was cold enough for me, I think. That was freezing. Like you can't feel your face. But it's
Yes.
worth it. It's an awesome place.
Oh,
It
it
was
is.
worth feeling your face.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times before the pandemic. It nothing is what it seems what it used to be. But it was still
Mm-mm.
nice to get up there now to see it. They're starting to slowly get back into those types of things. The tree
Mm.
lighting, this ice skating, and but it wasn't before because I actually went up there 5 years before the pandemic, and it was like wall to wall people. You were like walking like this throughout the whole
Buzzing.
thing.
Yes. I was there literally in
Okay.
October of this year. It's so weird because I feel like saying last year, like the year's already over. I nearly said last year. I had to stop myself.
Yeah, well, soon enough it will be that, but honest,
Yes.
but it has been a good year. Has this year been good for you as well,
It
business
has,
wise?
it has. I think every year is what you put in, you get out. That's
Hmm,
my attitude, you know.
okay.
So it just goes like that. The energy you put in is the energy you're gonna get out in everything, right? In
Oh,
health, in fitness, in wealth, in you would know this. And you've got to put it, you got to give it your best shot because you only get one life and then
yeah.
it's over.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Especially, I started doing taking better care of my fitness level this year because of whatnot and
Mm.
starting scuba diving. They recommend it, more cardio and whatnot, and I have been. So I actually
Hmm.
started doing instead of I'm going back into jujitsu, but I'm actually been doing Muay Thai kickboxing.
I did that for years. I did that for about 9 years,
Really?
actually. Yes. And that was my favorite because you know when you're in a heavy job, and
Mhm.
back then I was working in advertising, not for myself, but I really found that was a great outlet. It teaches you discipline, but my background's also bodybuilding, bikini bodybuilding. I don't know if
Okay.
you knew that about me.
No, I
So
didn't
fitness
know
is
that.
huge. Yeah, fitness is a huge thing. Fitness is part of your wealth
Hmm.
as a
Oh,
human, I think. So
I
good for you.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I remember having who was it? Was it Kevin? It was Kevin Palmieri on the show, and we talked about that, and he said one of the wealthy things that we could have is our health, and
Oh
with
yeah.
health, everything else doesn't really matter.
Well, you can have all the money in the world, and you know, if you don't have your health, what does it matter?
No, I agree. You can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy life without it.
No. And since I started taking care of my health, my life has just been a million times better. I've always been into health and fitness, but the bodybuilding 5 years ago changed my life.
Well,
Absolutely changed my life on so many levels.
do you is the bodybuilding and weightlifting more for? Are you going for tone or are you going for mass when you
I
do it?
just did it because I reached a stage in my business, if I'm being very honest, that I was completely burnt out.
Mhm.
I never even used to drink water.
Oh
I
my.
wouldn't even drink water. I would just have like my coffee. I'd sip on, you know, maybe a glass of water a day. Your cells, you know, they renew. So you
Right.
can completely change your body. I remember seeing these girls in the gym just going, how do they look like that? And then I found out that they were doing bodybuilding at the gym I was at, and I got in touch with a trainer who trained me. And I
Okay.
said, look, I'm not good with the whole because you've got to watch your macros,
Mhm.
which is, you know how everything adds up in terms of food. So they'll give you a certain
Right.
amount of calories per day to eat. And I'm not into that. I just said, just tell me, put it black and white for me. Tell me exactly what, you know, I need to eat, whether it's 2 eggs, 2 pieces of toast, whatever it is. And I'll do exactly what you tell me. And I said, but I think you're nuts if you think I'm going to have a body like that. Because she was showing me all these competitors. It's basically, remember in the 80s how there was Jane Fonda and she wore her, her leggings and they all had perfect bodies. She's showing me all these girls, modern day age, perfectly toned with these six packs. And I was like, how old are those ladies? And she said, late 30s, 40s, some are 50s. And I just thought, I have to change my life,
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, for the record, I'm only 24.
I'll
I'm
go
not
with
really,
that for the record.
I'm kidding, but I am.
No, you look amazing no matter what your age is, honestly. If you're just taking care of yourself like that and the attitude and the way you treat people, that's what matters.
Definitely. 100% agreed.
Is that you, Josh, or do we have somebody else?
Oh, hey, Magnus, how you doing? This is Matt. Josh is out today. I'll be with you.
Oh,
Hi, Matt.
great. Good to meet you.
Hello, hello. All right. So everybody's in that's going to be on the call. It's just you and Justine today.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and do some mic checks here, get some level checks. Magnus, go ahead and count back from 5 for me.
Sure. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, good. And Justine, go ahead and do the same. Just count back from 5.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm hearing you well. It's just a little roomy. Are you just using the internal mic on your computer or webcam? Or
I do have AirPods. Do you want me to try and swap?
no, I think this will be fine. Sometimes the
Is this
AirPods don't sound that good, so I think we're good with this. Just know with the internal mic, it's just kind of an open mic. So if you're like shuffling papers or moving around or turn away from the laptop, then you might lower the volume. But as long as you stay close, face towards the laptop when you're talking, then we should be fine.
Perfect.
All right, and I did send a hello over on the chat. Did that come through?
Yes, it did.
Got it. All right, cool. Everything's working. It looks like we've got about 1 minute till we get started, and doing just the one break as usual.
Yes, please.
Okay, got it. All right, 1 minute, and we'll get going.
Okay. I'll introduce you just like you do. You're a veteran with these things. Introduction. We'll go wherever the conversation takes us. We'll have a break at the middle. They'll count us down in the chat, and we'll come back. We'll get more in detail. And the last couple of minutes, you can promote anything you wish. Your new book, your Instagram, your Twitter, anything else.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And you.
Oh, and me, and thank you. Yeah, the show is very close to hitting 10,000.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Congratulations. That is
thank you.
huge. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to do it this week with this show and everything else before the end of the year. So we're gonna find
wow.
out.
Well, good energy only.
Absolutely. It's 600. 600 is no big deal.
That's so awesome. Wow.
All right, we are here at Showtime. I'm going to send the feed your way. Have a great show.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Magnus Carter. You are on the Making More Money for You show on Voice America Business. I want to take a moment to thank Trey Taylor for last week for showing us how he runs his business, how everybody, if you wanted to, can run your business like a family, create generational wealth, and also have fun doing it and have peace of mind doing it as well. Well, this show is the last live show of 2022. I can't believe we're already here. It's been 8 months since I've been doing the shows with you folks. I would definitely thank you for your support in this. And this show is going to be very special because we touched a little bit on the subject before with Jesse Clark about doing personal brands, but this episode is going to take that personal brand, make it a corporate brand, and then make it go out into the universe and make the sky your limit. For me to do that, I have a very special guest. She is the CEO and co-founder and founder of $1 Million Branders. She is a very seasoned brand strategist. She specializes in legacy building, and also a podcaster and author. Without any further ado, Justine Pegrosky, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Magnus. It's such an honor and a privilege, and I'm so glad to be on your show. I've heard so much about it. Finally, last show of 2022, huh?
Absolutely. I couldn't think of a better way to end this year with a bang than taking our brands that we've committed to, cultivated, nurtured like a little baby, and watch them grow up. So with doing that is tell us a little bit about yourself, Justine. How did you get into brand management and becoming a strategist in this field?
So I actually grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I think I started selling at a very young age when I saw an ad actually for Disneyland on TV, Disney World, and I commissioned my younger brother to sell all of our old toys on the back of our fence in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I think we ended up being the two richest 6-year-old and 4-year-old in the whole of Johannesburg, which was awesome. So I have been selling since a young age, but unfortunately we had an incident and my mother was actually held up by gunfire at the age of 12 years old. So we ended up packing up our whole life and moved to Sydney, Australia, where I always knew I wanted to be in creative. And when I left school, I actually commissioned to get my first job at a company called Ogilvy and Mather. I don't know if you've heard of it. And from there, I ended up freelancing, and I saw a gap in the market to start a smaller agency with that had the thoughtfulness and the touch of, a smaller agency that could service its clients one-to-one. But back then, there weren't a lot of smaller agencies. So it was the large, agencies where it was the creative director and then it was a whole pipeline. You weren't dealing one-to-one with the creative director. And I thought there needs to be something in the market where you can work with clients one-to-one, do their campaigns, do their creative, and bring their brands to light on a global stage and shine light on them. And that's when I started $1 Million Branders. And the concept came from everyone deserves $1 million brand, but how do they go about building it? And these days it is all about legacy. What are you going to leave on this earth once you are not here anymore?
That's thinking way outside the box, because in a flip side of things, everybody is seeking the larger companies because they figure they don't think it's as hard because they have the money to back whatever it is you're trying to promote. Am I right?
Exactly. And I think, nowadays there are a lot of agencies competing for branding, competing for work, but it's really about who you are as a soul and person, what it is you do differently. And I think branding in general is so much more than a legacy. It's an echo of your achievements. It's an echo of your accomplishments. And it's also how you make people feel. I think it was Maya Angelou said, people will remember how you make them feel more than anything else. And we're living in an experience age. So it's the after effect of how your brand makes someone feel. It's no longer acceptable to just have a pretty logo or a website. It's how that experience makes them feel on an everyday basis. And if they love the experience, and if you make impact through that experience, that's where you shine as a brand on a holistic scale.
Oh, that's a lot of sense right there. But before we get into more details with this, we're throwing around the name or the concept of branding. We talked a little bit about it before with Jesse from Beautiful Badass Life, but what is a brand to you, and how do you relate to a brand?
I think a brand to me is really about legacy. Okay. So it's about putting your footprint on the world.
Okay.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think it's basically your footprint. So it's, again, what do you leave on this earth after you're gone? And it can be a company, it can be a product, it can be an idea, it can be a concept of some sort. or, you know, it's how you relate to it. So it's something you have in common with that product, with that idea, with that concept. I mean, you look at Apple. When Apple create a product, there's a line going for days out the door. It's because they've created a culture, which is the other thing. And that's what I think a good brand is. It's also a culture. How do you identify with people? How do you be relatable to people? But more than anything, I think it's about legacy.
Okay. Well, with legacy, you have to research what your target audience is. Am I correct on that? And you got to make sure you get that right off the get-go, or you're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of money trying to figure out what in the middle of implementing something.
Absolutely. And I think it goes also beyond that. I think, you know, when you're looking for your target audience, it's important to remember it's okay if you're not going to attract everyone.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's when you actually start specializing and become like, you want to be the authority in your area. Am I right? You take
Absolutely.
from what I've seen and from your podcasts and some of your other articles that you've written, is that how do you find someone that you want to spend time with to actually do this for your client? Because you have to be just as choosy as they do on what they want their brand to be.
Absolutely. And it has to be like attracts like, because it's all energy. Doesn't matter what you're doing in life. If that energy isn't there, you're going to miss the mark regardless. So I guess it's finding principles in that person or that product that you want to represent, and then matching it. And if there's no match, I mean, I would rather go to the beach than work on something that I wasn't 100% on. I'm 100% or nothing in every single aspect of my life.
Okay, so it has to. Oh, I'm terribly sorry. So it has to be a hell yeah for you to actually go and do something.
Absolutely. If I'm not 100% in, if I don't believe in something, I won't even put my name to it. And I think that's where a lot of people just go with the flow. To be a great brand or to have a great product or company, you've got to be very, very strong in your beliefs and your values, especially in today's times, because, you know, sheep are around. There's a lot of people trying to be like everything else, but the greatest brand asset that you can have is your uniqueness.
Okay. And everything that you're talking about, right, that you just described is, I've been doing it, but I'm doing it without knowing about it until someone points it out. It's like, oh, you did this and this. When I go back to my mentors, he's like, well, you need to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, well, I'm already doing that. He's like, well, how did you know how to do that? To me, it makes sense. I'm more a logical person. I'm like, okay, if I was buying this, what would I want me as a customer want? Even though it's not for me, it's for the people that I want to sell it to.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a really, really good point. You know, when I worked with a lot of startups back in the day, and even now, you know, it's when you see them on Shark Tank, for instance, and they value their company or product. You ever seen that when the sharks say to them, how much is your company worth? And they say 5 million and 33 and 65 cents. You know, and you're like, how do you get to that? And they say to them, have you sold any products? And they say no. And it's because they've designed a product or a brand that appeals to them, that doesn't appeal to their customers or clients. So you mentioned a really important point. It's not about you. It's about thinking logically about what your customers or what your potential prospects want or need, and then creating the brand around that.
Okay. I've been with building on that, is I was once in the people that I'm selling things to. Out of high school, I can guarantee, probably the same in Johannesburg, is we weren't taught about money. We weren't taught about how to invest things. We weren't taught about budgeting, on going into debt, good debt, bad debt, or just debt in general, depending on your views on it. And that's one thing that I find today is they do it even more without knowing it, and they're okay with it. And that just doesn't sit well with me. And I'm sure you see a lot of companies that fight you tooth and nail, as well as trying to implement something.
Yes, absolutely. And I think as a company, look, it's going to be trial and error, especially if you're starting a new company. And again, you know, people don't necessarily save for a rainy day. Look what happened during COVID. you know, I mean, some of the companies couldn't help it, right? In hospitality, because it's hospitality. They were relying on, you know, people sitting on seats in a restaurant to order food. But imagine if they thought a bit outside the box. We had clients during COVID that actually, you know, said to me, thank you for making me think outside the box, because, you know, we pivoted so quickly through COVID. But I think it's really important, that point, you know, you've got to always be aware of that rainy day. And we've just gone through a pandemic. So how do you budget and how do you get your head around money in a way that if it happens again, your business is basically COVID proof or whatever the next pandemic may be? Because if there's been one, you know, there may be another one.
Oh, absolutely. It's more or less knowing that there's going to be one, but actually when it's going to happen.
Yes.
I've been doing that a lot in the books and on other shows as well with other guests, because what's one thing that you tell your customers that they need to actually plan for, especially when they don't, or especially when they're just starting out?
Well, I think a lot of people actually underestimate the power of what branding can do, because some customers believe that there's no point in investing in branding. But the thing is, if you've got a good brand, people are going to know you. They're going to see you everywhere. They're going to find you. Like, I mean, how did you find me? It's the same thing. It's like I've spent years and years building a brand, right? Same with people who listen to your show. It's a brand in itself. You are a brand. We are all walking brands. But branding is the greatest investment that you can actually make, whether it's in yourself or your company or your business, because even during difficult times, you can always use that as an asset to pivot off. And it's your own. I mean, we're living through the age of also the Great Resignation. After COVID, people don't necessarily want to work that hard anymore. They're realizing the importance of life.
Yeah, you made a very valid point there, that life, the work there, to me, there is no work-life balance. It's always been a choice. Either you choose work or you choose life. There's no balance. And my philosophy is there's absolutely no balance. We can fight tooth and nail about that, but that'll be for another show. We can definitely talk about that in another show. But as we're talking about it, even back before all this social media and all this hype and all the advertising and marketing, because we are in a commercialized civilization now. Before that, we did have our brands and it was our word. If we said we were going to do something, we had to do it, or nobody would actually come to you and want anything, or even the small mom and pop things. They had to be there to do these things.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned something, so integrity, right? When you're building a brand, that's really what's going to separate the very best of businesses moving forward. Because I think it is going to, you can look at it however you want. I think it's going to be a lot harder to make money moving into 2023. And the brands that have integrity and are willing to do whatever it takes, those are the ones that are going to succeed. The ones that are able to pivot in a hard economy. And I think, you know, the people who are going to just rest and chill and relax and be watching Netflix, unless you're putting good stuff in your brain, unless you're working on your self-development, you will risk becoming obsolete. But your brand is something you should always be working on, whether it's you as a soul and a human, that's a brand, or your business or your company, because you just never know when that rainy day is going to come. But integrity is a huge asset when it comes to branding, because you'll be known as a thought leader and an influencer as a brand in your space. It will make you the best that you can be in that space.
That is very intriguing, because as we're talking here about it, integrity is definitely part of it. And you also said opportunity. How many opportunities did you act on and know that it was actually the right thing to do? And what did you use to make that decision?
So people will probably laugh at this if they know who I am, but I'm actually a very spiritual person, and I never ever doubt my intuition and my gut. So when I go into something, it's probably because I don't really drink alcohol. You know, I've never been unhealthy. I don't smoke. I really take care of myself, but I've got very high standards for myself. So if I meet an energy or a person or a thing or you know, something that comes my way and it doesn't feel right, I won't take it on. I'll never doubt my own intuition. And I think as humans, for some reason, a lot of us silence it. And I've been there, done that, but I've really learned in business and in life to trust my intuition, because 99.9% of the time, your intuition or your gut instinct is right, whether it be about a person or a product or something. Like, everyone has it. Everyone's got that intuitive drive. So let's say, you know, you're going to buy into a product or a brand, for instance, or you're going to go spend time with a person who isn't matching your energy field. Like, if you can feel that in your energy, chances are it's wrong. You just got to go with your gut and go with your intuition. And stuff is not going to get easy. I mean, you even see it these days online, right? In terms of coaching or people offering all these online courses. You've really got to be careful even when finding a brand or a coach to work with, whether it be, you know, you're working on your podcast or you want to build an e-com site, because there's a lot of scamming going on online and it's not slowing down. Follow your intuition and your gut and vet like crazy, you know, go to town, research that person, you know, speak to some past clients. Like, it's almost like you got to dig up for skeletons underneath the closet.
Especially you brought up a lot of things, especially reviews, Trustpilot reviews, Amazon reviews, whatever type of review it is. I always look for the disgruntled ones. I always look for the 2-3 stars. Why is it that? Even on my own books, I love reading the reviews, because one, it shows if I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing and the book's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Two is it gives me a chance of being able to improve. I'm always looking for that improving thing. It's like, okay, well, I'll take the book down and I'll rewrite a couple things, repost it, give that person another chance to read it. And it's like, okay, does this work? You know, and constantly, and the next book, I constantly keep doing that, especially with the radio show as well. As we came in earlier, when we were on earlier, I wanted to know if there's anything that you wanted to talk about, because we can take this 5 million ways from Sunday, but if it's something that you feel that the listeners hear and your listeners need to hear, definitely, we can definitely explore it. If not, it's going to be gone, and it'll be lost.
100%. And, you know, you mentioned a good point there. I think we spoke about this a bit earlier, right, offline, but you're never going to be able to please everyone.
Right.
You will never. So even if they write negative reviews on your books and on your stuff, if you are being the best person you can be, and you know that you're operating from the best intentions and the best integrity as a brand, and you're dropping value, you know, haters can also be a good thing. It can also mean you're on the right track. You know, so I wouldn't look at that necessarily as a negative, but I'm a huge self-improvement junkie. So I will always, you know, invest in myself and work on myself, and it definitely makes you better. So well done for that, because I think that's what makes a true champion. Someone who's willing to actually get in the ring and keep working at it until something hits. And a lot of millionaires, you know, I mean, a millionaire today isn't that much money, right? But the thing is, a lot of people who have really made it and excelled in life are always working on themselves. And I think it's really important just to remember that you just need to believe in yourself, because not everyone is going to believe in your vision or your dream. And we're living in a very tough age. It's not like when our parents were growing up, you know, I mean, people can't even buy property now. So you've got to really work on what is best for you, and work on yourself, and not look left and not look right, and be your own competition. And if you're at the very peak of what you can do for yourself and speak life into yourself, I think that's when you excel as a brand and as a company.
Yeah, because as we talked about during this conversation, is the brand is you.
Absolutely.
That's basically what you're the spokesperson for it. You're the creator of it. You determine where it goes. And the devil's advocate to that is you can't blame anybody else either if you're not getting the results you want.
No. It's almost like you got to build your own climate and your own economy in this day and age, because you're going to get people knock you no matter what you do. They'll either love you or they're going to hate you. And it is polarized. We're living in a cruel society now. You know, we've got access to online. People are lazier. They want things quicker and smarter and faster. So, you know, are you going to roll down a hill and die? Or are you going to step up and go, I'm just going to not look at anyone else. I'm not going to look left. I'm not going to look right. I'm just going to focus on being the very best that I can be and show up the very best I can be. And that's what I've been doing. And you know what? I think when you do that, yes, you have hard times, but you come from a place of, I know I'm doing my best. So even if someone says something to you that, you know, you don't agree with, or that isn't on your wavelength, as long as you are true to yourself and you're being your truest brand possible and your purest brand possible, then you've really got nothing to lose.
And that brings up a good point. There's nothing that says that failure is a bad thing. The only person that decides that is yourself.
Absolutely. And I think also on that note, there is an important factor, because we are living in a day and age where everyone's a winner, right? But on the other side of things, you're not always going to be a winner. And it's okay. Like if you fail, right? And, you know, people have over glamorized like being an entrepreneur. And I think that it's not like that. You know, it's really hard work being an entrepreneur. And people try and be an entrepreneur and they keep trying for 5-6 years. If you need to work in a job and you're not built to be an entrepreneur, that's okay too. Not everyone has to be an entrepreneur. If you have a really good job and you're good at your job, then stay in that job and treat it like it's your own company. When I was working for all these ad agencies back in the day, I treated every single company like it was my own company. I would imagine myself being the CEO sitting at that desk representing, you know, that company like it was my own. And I think that got me really far too. And just for other people listening to this, you know, it's okay. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, because it has been over glamorized and it's hard work. People, you know, often see, you know, you look at Gary Vaynerchuk and a lot of people who have made it, they don't see the darkness that they went through. They went through a lot of, you know, ups and downs to get to where they're at, and pivots and God knows what else, you know, to reach that scale. And it's not always easy, but it's okay. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, just as long as you're being the best person you can be.
Oh, I agree with that. And to add on that, the fairy tale of passive income, and if you believe in passive income, I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't exist. Because when you become passive, your company starts going down. You start losing money. You lose your edge.
Yeah, I have to agree. Like, you know, the people that I know making passive income are literally like multi-millionaires that own a lot of property. They've invested smart. And you know what? They're still very careful with their money. You don't see them, you know, blowing it and chucking it against the wall and throwing it out. They really are careful and they really are smart with investing.
But they're still doing things to make money. They're not sitting back. And because I'm gonna fault them for it. The ad that I bought a course online in not the greatest state of mind, with the help of alcoholic beverages, but I understood after the fact, after going through the course and whatnot, that it is going to be hard work. And when they said it was going to be passive, I knew they were lying about it, because nothing in this life is easy, and everything that you want in life that you want to get, you do have to work for.
100%. And you're talking to someone who's been working literally since the age of 12. So I understand. And on that note, like, you know, there's some months that are also going to be better than others. I just really want people to know, listening to this, like, you know, going through the economy and, you know, the financial times that we're going through, just try not to listen to all the negative around. You really have to focus on building your own economy. Whether it's at work, you know, just be smart about what you buy, be smart about your investments, and also be smart with how you invest in your company and where you invest.
And to add on that, Justine, be careful who you invest your time with.
Absolutely. 100%. You'll become like the people you hang around. Yes. I'm a true believer, and relationships are everything too. So relationships are associated with your brand, going back to branding.
Oh, yes. Yes, everything we were talking about relates to branding in one form or another. And it's okay if you mess one thing up here, one thing there, but learning from that mistake, it's still going to take your brand to a next level. It might not be in the time frame that you're doing it, am I right? But it will get there.
Definitely, it is domino effect.
Okay. But, well, I hate, Justine, we're halfway through the show already.
I can't believe it.
We're
Goes
halfway.
quickly. Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. We've dropped so many nuggets of branding information to take what you use with your clients, what people need to be doing. It's up to them if they want to implement it or not. But we need to take a quick break so we can come back and get back at it.
I'm excited.
Oh, me
Bring on
too.
the break.
So everybody, thank you for tuning in. People, if you just got here, don't feel bad. The rest of the show will be rebroadcasted, but hang tight. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, Justine and I are going to dive deeper into making that $1 million brand and shooting it up to empire status.
All right, perfect. We're all clear. Back in about 2.
All right, thanks, Matt. That
Awesome.
that went by extremely fast.
Oh, it did. It did. The conversation's very good with us too.
Yes, I do enjoy. Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I love the way it flows. We're flowing back and forth. Everything that we're building on is stuff you do with your clients, and what I've been doing, and it works.
And I think we are living through some crazy times now. It's going to get tough.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who are going to get exposed to, I think, for doing the wrong thing, So integrity is huge with branding.
And some of the other guests that I had on here that are investors in other areas of investing said the same thing. We're not even close to being done yet. We're still on the downslide.
So after effect, but I do think that I think the most millionaires are going to be created in like the next 2 years. Because people are going to come out fight. They're going to be certain people who will come out fighting.
Oh, absolutely. There a lot that are biding their time and making sure that they're getting everything prepared for when it does hit bottom again. It's going to turn the world upside down.
I think so too. How's the morale though in America now? Are people worried?
People are still worried. There's a lot of things going on here, especially with the vehicle industry, the automobile industry. They're still trying to force electric cars down our throats. There's still the supply and demand, but that's starting to ease up because the car dealerships are starting to offer incentives to start buying again. That buying surge is gone. All that extra money is gone. Yeah, everything they're trying to do the reset now of the inflation reset by raising the interest rates. So interest rates are going up.
All right, sorry to jump in. We are just about to come back.
Oh, okay.
You're listening to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guests, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the show. And if you're just tuning in, welcome to the show. If you're just tuning in, you definitely need to listen to the first half of this broadcast or the show in general. We have dropped many, many different things and suggestions, tips, tricks, and strategies to take your branding to the next level and above. So it'll be on Voice America. It will also be on all your streaming services. And, it'll be on there probably later tonight. So takes a little bit of extra time to get into that, but we're going to get into a lot more deep stuff with branding. I have Justine here. Justine, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Magnus. It's an honor and a privilege.
Oh, awesome. As many of you may know or may not know, Justine Progroski is the host and creator of Million Dollar Branders. So we have a top tier expert with us tell teaching us some of the things that she uses to actually take your branding to the highest limits it could possibly go. But to take it to the highest limits, we got to work on the foundation, right, Justine? So, and we did cover quite a bit of fundamentals in the first half of the show. Are there any things or any um, topics that we missed in the first half that you want to bring up now?
That's so interesting that you just said that, because you sparked something in my mind. I think with so many online businesses, you know, after the pandemic popping up, I actually think that offline is the new luxury. So I think branding is associated with you as a person. It's every single contact you have with people, whether it be by telephone or however you're connecting with people offline. That is going to really set your business apart, because people are just getting like millions of emails in their inbox, emails coming back. You know, there's Instagram, there are all these online funnels to get to someone or to work with someone, but what you do offline is going to really set you apart. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that in terms of branding.
Absolutely. Like we said before, it's the experience, the personal experience that you want to go back to them to buy something. You don't want to look anywhere else. You want that person or that brand to be your go-to brand. I hate to
Absolutely.
say it, but Apple has that locked down. In the
And
phone,
it's
I'm not an Apple fan. I was at one time, but me and them just went our separate ways. But they have it. They have the Apple stores. They have the Apple Geniuses. They have Apple Care. They actually take the time. Their people actually take the time to go over things with you.
absolutely
How many other brands have you worked with do that?
myself. No,
How bad?
seriously, I went to a dinner probably about a month ago, and someone actually came up to me at the dinner and said, you know what, Justine, you really embody everything Million Dollar Branders and your brand. You present exactly how you do online, and it's an all-rounded experience. And I was like, wow, that is when you know you're doing something right. And as I said, I'm always working on myself, but it's literally, if you can make people feel a certain way and connect with your brand, then you're winning, and you're going to win in 2023.
And past that, because even when we look back at the last year, it's either mistakes or successes, gains, and whatnot. How important is it for you to actually take a toll of what you've done in the last year to move on to the next year?
Definitely. I think in a lot of ways we can all learn from, you know, past wins, past mistakes, past failures, whatever you want to call them. But again, you know, a brand is about being able to pivot, never becoming attached to a brand. You know, we're creating different entities now with Million Dollar Branders. You've got to be constantly thinking about new products and get excited about the future and what you can offer people, especially in such a detrimental time when, you know, people think that the world is about to collapse because of the economy and the after effect of COVID. Again, it's you got to make your own brand's economy and climate.
You brought up an interesting question that I have. Now, when you're talking about your branding yourself and whatnot, now, is it better to stay within your wheelhouse, or is it better to expand outside of where your norm is and where you are currently focused?
So I think it was Jim Rohn who said you've got to work full-time on your job and part-time on your fortune. And I believe that, you know, everyone's trying to get rich quick, and, you know, we spoke about passive income before.
Yes.
And they're finding segues, you know, how it can be like, look at the crypto market. There were people who invested their life savings into crypto. And I'm not saying it doesn't work. Like, I actually know crypto millionaires and billionaires. So,
Right.
you know, it has worked for some people, but again, that's their forte. People forget they're the one, it's like a trader, right? They're sitting there doing it every single day in, day out, hour on hour, minute on minute. And, you know, Robert Greene actually wrote a great book called Mastery. I'm a strong believer. I love that book.
I just seen
But
that book the other day. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's confirmation. Then if you haven't read it, you need to. Robert Greene's amazing. He's written some incredible
Yes, he
books.
has.
But when it comes to mastery, I'm a strong believer of you need to become so great at your craft in order to be the best. So whether you want to be the next big public speaker on stage, you know, and you know, be on global stages all over the world, like it's about putting in that time, putting in that effort. So I'm going to say it's better to stick to your wheel craft unless you've got a mentor very close to you who can actually teach you from the ground up, or you're very confident in learning something from the ground up, which is new. But I would say you can touch on those things, but in order to become really fantastic at something and excel and become brilliant, it's the hours and the minutes and the days you put in. And that book, Mastery, will explain it better. But even before that, I mean, I remember I was a disaster at design and advertising. I walked out of my first design class at university because I couldn't handle it. I mean, the Mac keyboard is completely different to a PC keyboard, you know, and if you don't put your mind to it and keep practicing, how do you become really good at something? So I'm old school, you know, I think you got to master your craft and be really great. I was watching a funny YouTube clip the other day, and I very rarely consume other people's content, you know, unless it's really going to add value. But the man speaking made a great point. He said a lot of people try and learn different languages, but they can barely speak English.
Wow, that hits home really,
Yes.
really harsh right there.
Because it's mastering certain words. Even I'm not a master at English, right? But become really good at your craft and, you know, become really great at it to become remembered for it. That's what I think.
Speaking of that, I remember seeing an interview. It's with Slash from Guns N' Roses. And one of the questions was asked with him is like, how did you become the legend that you are? At being a guitar player. He's like, he told the interviewer straight out, he spent like 4 to 7 hours a night mastering his craft, no matter if it was one note or if it was 3 notes at a time, to do that. And he's amazing. He's still playing. But for someone like that, as we're talking about it, to master a craft like that, he is a master and he keeps improving on it.
Absolutely. And one of my favorite people of all time was Kobe Bryant. It was so sad what happened to him, but he really was an icon. And the reason why is because he just kept going and going and going. He didn't stop and think, wow, I'm the best player in the world. You know, he just kept going, mastering his craft. You look at a lot of these people, they put in the time, they've put in the effort. But it's about also being smart, I think, knowing where to invest your time and how to invest your time.
And time is our most valuable thing that we could ever have and we can ever give anybody. If somebody ever tells you that money is, or cars or anything else is, they have no concept of what they're talking about. Honestly, that's because time, whether the way I look at it is when I spend time with somebody, I don't want them to do anything else. I don't expect them to do anything else, like be on their phone or talking to other people or anything. I'm like, I'm here for you, and I'm opening up to them and doing that with clients or being a mentor to somebody, or if I'm being mentored by one of my mentors, undivided attention, no matter what. If I see them fail, I'm like, okay, now my mind's wondering, is like, how did they fail? What made it fail? What goes on with this? And you would totally miss that stuff if you were stuck on your phone.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are stuck on their phones these days, you know, so it takes a lot of discipline to actually devote your time to someone. I'm a huge believer in that. When you're with someone, like, give them your full attention. That is your brand. Again, how are you making them feel? It wouldn't feel really good if, you know, I was on a call right now and I'm doing this interview with you, right? Like, you'll remember me for that. So again, how are you making people feel?
Now, I have come across people that, and I'm sure you have, especially with companies, brands, as you're dealing with clients, that they come to you or they come to me is like, I want to be like that person, or I want better than that person. I want to know what they're doing so I can do it, and be better at it. I believe you called that the Lamborghini effect. And
Yes.
how did you get into that? And how do you use that to promote what you do with your clients?
So it's always been a natural thing for me. I honestly have never ever wanted to be like anyone else. And I don't know, maybe it's a freaky thing from God or the universe, but I've really always been my own competition.
Okay.
I've never looked at anyone and gone, you know, I want to be exactly like that, because I think being unique, again, is such a huge asset. And there's only one of you in this world. God made you a certain way for a reason. And it's to impact and it's to be you. You know, it would be pretty boring if we all looked the same in this life.
Oh,
And, you
yeah.
know, the Lamborghini effect is something I speak about in terms of, you know, being different as a brand. Because when you see a Lamborghini drive across the street, everyone looks twice because they're rare. You don't see them everywhere. You know, imagine if you saw 50 billion Lamborghinis driving around, you know, wherever it is that you live, it would just be an everyday thing. It would be like grass or trees. You just see them everywhere, you know, and you start to take it for granted. So the Lamborghini effect in terms of branding is what makes you different, what makes you stand out. And, you know, when you go and buy Lamborghini, they create an experience for you. You know, they don't just have red. They've got, you know, their certain branded red. You can get your seats tailored, you know, you can get embroidery, you can, you know, change the stitching, you can get a certain dashboard, you can get your own tailored exhaust pipe. They really go into detail. And as a brand, if you can really hone in onto those things, what make you unique and you different, how can you not stand out in a saturated world?
Now, when they're actually doing that, we'll continue with Lamborghini and whatnot. Now they they're the ones to beat. They're everybody.
Yes.
They're their highest pedestal people, and you have all these companies mimicking them.
Yes.
But so what you're saying right there is those people that are mimicking need to find something else that would stand out and make level the playing field like a Lamborghini, like to elevate themselves.
Well, look, you're always going to get people that are going to copy you, right?
Right.
You always get that, and especially if you're good at what you do. And I think it's about flattery. I think that's actually flattery. When you see that people are copying you, I've had this done to me many times, and many times with brands that we've worked on where people have been like, they haven't just taken our strategy or our look or our feel, they've copied it. They've copied our brand. And honestly, I laugh about it. I think it's absolute flattery. I think that means you're doing something right. But again, it comes down to you. What type of product are you trying to create? You know, with $1 Million Branders, we focus on really putting you on a pedestal and building, you know, a product that's going to stand out in a different way, almost like a luxury brand because it's unique. And there's only one of it. We make you want it. We make you excel in your marketplace, whether it's a service or a product. So it just depends what type of brand you're building. Like if you want to go for the masses, is it, I'm trying to think of some American brands, you know, like McDonald's, right? That works for a mass audience. You know, Lamborghini isn't targeted towards everyone. You know, Bugatti isn't targeted towards everyone. They've built a unique experience for a certain level of human or, type of person who's going to buy their brand or buy their cars. So I always, when I'm working with clients, I tell them not to do a competitor analysis. I tell them to do a competitive analysis. Because you can pick things from different places and people. Let's say you're working on, for instance, a hat brand, or a cap brand, or a clothing brand. Like you can go and look at what people have done in tech or cars and pick little unique things and bring them together to form a product or a concept or an idea. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to do that analysis in your space. Like, go and get ideas from different industries of people that have really excelled and put that together in a document, and get in touch with your human emotions and go, what did I love about that brand, service, or product? How did they make me feel? How did they make me feel, that I want to go and make that purchase?
That's excellent right there. One thing when I was going through the course to learn about my audience for the books is actually go out into where they would be. So they would like, okay, if you're going to be in a bookstore and they're going to be in the cooking section, you want to go hang around at the book section, the cooking section, the cookbooks or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's a nice baseline. But what you're saying is, and what honestly what I've done, I've when they say, copy the box or go find something to be like, or think outside the box, I don't think outside the box. I burn the box plant down. Honestly, I don't like it. I don't like that. I burned the
Yes.
plant down and I went out everywhere, wherever somebody bought a book, whether people talked about the specialty of making money or would have issues having money. That's where I was, and that's where I was taking my notes. I didn't
Perfect.
go, that's one of the things that I found that worked, and it's building the brand. I know that's the brand is building because, one, I have you here, two, the show came, and I'm not just doing this for the listeners. I'm also doing it as for myself, because like we're talking about, we always have to keep inventing ourselves, reinventing ourselves, changing things, evolving.
Really important.
That's one of the things where when I go for to find guests or go out and seek guests, not only they don't come, like, they do come running at the door because like blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well, there's 5 other people with this. What can you do differently? What can you bring to the thing? What can you bring to the show? What can elevate you? I know I can elevate your status, but what can you do to elevate my listeners and elevate the brand that I'm portraying? So now, when you
the core values, it's giving up. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I love when people come on. The people I met through this journey, whether it's through authoring or public speaking or college students, anywhere, any which way, if they have questions, I have no problem. I don't care about clocks when it comes to that, because
Yes.
that is one of the things where I have found that I will spend the extra 10 minutes or 15 minutes if I'm late for a meeting or something. That person wants my help. 10 people inside that meeting hall may want my help. I'm guaranteed to make the impact here.
It's all domino effects. That person that you help is going to help the next person. That's how I look at stuff. That's branding. Again, that's branding. People are going to remember how you made them feel.
And I'll never forget when I had guests on the show. After going back, I'll follow up with you as well as I done with other guests about it. And I found out that one of my guests actually launched his own podcast, his own radio platform after being on the show.
Wow. So you inspired them.
Yes, very much so. And that I take that as like, okay. She's like, well, I want you on the show and blah, blah, and start promoting this. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm very flattered to this. And when I talk to him, it's like, oh, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And the weird part is he has a branding person on right now too.
Oh, wow. We'll make the show a lot better. But, it's a huge compliment, because you obviously inspired something in him to get his booty going to start his own show, and that's how you're really making impact. I just tell my clients, and I've had many clients who have come to me and been like, this company's copying us, this person's doing that. Don't worry about it. Because you know what? Like, focus on being the best person that you can be and the best brand you can be. Have tunnel vision. No one can copy your soul and you as a human. There's only one copy of that on this planet.
Oh,
so
absolutely. And one thing when I was talking to my coaches about going into writing these books, the investing niche, it's like that's a very thing. I'm like, well, there's not really a big market for it. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go make the market. And every time when they
Nice.
heard that, they had no idea what to come back with.
That's nice. That's a really that's a t-shirt right there.
Well, out of all the brands that you've worked for, companies, corporations starting out, what brand have you had the most impact on?
That's a really good question, actually. It's a very, very good question. I'm gonna say actually again, because we've worked with so many brands, but I think my own brand, and I'm not coming from an arrogant place by saying this, but when I look at my life, like my friends laugh at me actually, because and even clients, because I always say to them, you know, if I died tomorrow, I would be okay, because I know how many lives I've impacted. Because for me, it goes beyond branding. It's about shining light on others and bringing them, you know, to a level where they can actually be making their own economy out of something that I've created for them. But also it's just about inspiring other people. I really, really love it. So I think the brand that I've created has really become a community and a platform. And I think everyone should have that inspiration and aspiration to be like that, because we all have a gift and everyone's got $1 million brand inside of them. But it's just about how you put it on a global stage and take it to the world. And there are people listening to this that have the potential to be so great, but it could just be that they're surrounded by the wrong people or the wrong climate or the wrong tools. And I think that's just what, you know, everyone needs to remember, that it is inside of you, but you only get one shot. Like, are you going to take it, and are you going to choose that path?
Okay. Well, I have one last question before we wrap up. I'll make this one a fast one. If you had to go back and change if you can go back to your 12-year-old self, what one piece of advice would you give yourself?
Be extremely kind to yourself, because the voice that you hear in your head is the voice that's going to drive your future. So you've really got to be your own biggest fan. And I'm extremely tough on myself, but I think that's what's got me so far, because I was always, you know, hitting harder, wanting to be the best. But I think being kind to yourself, which is something that I've had to learn, is really, really important, because at the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, you're the only voice that you're hearing in your head. You know, you've got to deal with yourself at night. So I think that if you can just be your own biggest fan in terms of your brand, you're going to get very far, because you don't need other people to speak life into you or life into your brand or your business. And not everyone's going to believe in your vision. Like I always say, God gave you that vision with the ability to execute on it too. Hope that helps.
Absolutely does. Well, Justine, we're at the show. How can we find you? And you know, if we want to keep in touch, how can we follow you? Because this information has been monumental. But I'm sure my listeners are going to want to learn more.
Absolutely. And it's been such an honor. Thank you so much. You are a force to be reckoned with, and I can't wait to see what you do in 2023 and beyond. And we'll definitely be in touch. I'm on Instagram, Justine _official, and I'm sure they'll see posts about this podcast interview. You can also get in touch with me via my personal website, which is JustinePogroskiOfficial.com. Go check out milliondollarbranders.com. We're also on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. Basically just Google me. Hopefully only good stuff comes up, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if I've hit the range that I need to in terms of branding this year. Hey, Magnus?
Well, I'm sure you have, and I'm sure you exceeded it. Well, everybody, we're wrapping up 2022. Thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. Justine, thank you for being part of this.
Thank you so much.
2023 is going to be phenomenal. I can see it now. But be kind to yourself. Also, don't stop working. The little things make big differences. And as for New Year's resolution, next on January 3rd, Money School is now in session. I have Florian Fritz from the Money Hero Academy. So if your resolution is to make money or get money back. Tune in on January 3rd. Until then, have a wonderful rest of 2022 and enjoy it.
All right, perfect. Great job today. Good show. We're all clear.
Thank you,
Thank
Matt.
you so much. That was
You're welcome.
awesome. I will be posting over.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time, Justine.
Of course. But yeah,
is-
stay in touch, definitely too. I want to hear more about what you do, and I'm sure this won't be the last of us.
Oh, absolutely not. I think we're just getting started.
I think so too. Thank you so much, Magnus.
Okay. Well, one quick question. Is there anything from the show that we missed that you want to go over now? Because we're still recording. This will be on YouTube.
I think we're good. We're
Okay.
good. I think, unless there's anything you missed, is there anything you want to ask?
What made you go into podcasting?
I'm a very effervescent person. I love people, and I think it's a great way to connect and get out there. But I'm always very intrigued by people who have, again, built a legacy or built a business. And I think it's really important to elevate those people who have achieved something so that we can help people get to where they need to be and do what they need to do on this planet. So the podcasting is just a platform for a global stage to shine light.
Okay. Well, you are worldwide, and you're also going to be on every single platform on the show as well.
Well, thank you so much, Magnus. And likewise, we'll have to definitely stay in touch, but I will be in touch in the new year.
Yes, thank you much. If you have any questions about the book, let me know. As the books come out, I'll definitely get them over to you.
Oh, I'm
just to get them.
excited. Awesome. I can't wait to. I want a signed copy, actually.
Well, if you send me your address, and I'll get you that. I'll get you a couple.
Oh, amazing. And then I can build your Australian audience.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, that would be fantastic. I always wanted to come down there and be
well,
present there as well.
It's a business trip now, so you know someone.
Absolutely. And I hear there's great diving down there as well.
There is. You'll have to make the trip. But take care. Have a brilliant New Year's, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
Yes. Have a safe and prosperous New Year.
You too. Thank you, Magnus.
Yep.
Take care.
Yep. Good day.
Bye. Thank you.